we started talking about bed mass, right? That's just a short form name for order of operations. So you got to be able to look at an equation and spot all the operations. When I say the word operation, I'm talking about adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, brackets, and exponents. And the one thing I said, hey, things get kind of complicated, and you want to make questions a little bit smaller by breaking them up into pieces. And what we do is we look for adding and subtracting, not inside of brackets. Right? Because that's the last thing we do. So on this question here, do you see any adding and subtracting not inside of brackets? Right? Do you see anything? What do you see, Janet?
In the middle.
In the middle, there is a minus sign. So that is how we're going to separate this question into two parts. We have a part on the left. I'm going to highlight it under red. I'm going to part on the right, which I'll do in blue. And they're separated by a minus sign. Right? These two parts can be done independently. It doesn't matter. So you just pick the one that you find easier to do. Right? Where do we want to start? Do you want to start on the red one, or do you want to start on the blue one? What do you think, Alex? Red or blue? Red? All right. So you'll pick the red one. So inside the red, how many operations do you see? Sydney? 3? Can you say what they are?
The brackets, the exponents, and then the minus.
The plus, right? Here we have the brackets, right? We have the exponent, which was mentioned. There's one more.
Multiply.
And there's a multiply, right? Right there. So you need to be able to spot them. You can't do it correctly if you can't spot all the operations. So out of all the operations mentioned, what do we do first?
Or exponents.
The brackets.
The brackets. 3 comes first. So we do the 7, 5 plus 2, which is 7.
7.
Right? So remember notation. Try to keep it stacked vertically. We're using the adding operation. So I'm going to put the result of adding right underneath. So 5 plus 2 makes 7. So you see this following down. Copy all the other things down. So do one operation at a time. All right? So now we're just going to work vertically. We're going to ignore the other side until we get this thing down to a single number. Then we'll jump to the other side. So we're still got 3 numbers sitting here. Which one do we do next?
The exponent.
The exponent. And we have 7 exponent 2, which is not 14.
47.
Not 47 either.
No, 49.
49, yeah. So 7 times 7 makes 49. Right? We bring down the other number and the invisible operation. So it doesn't look like 849. 8 times 49. Right? Then you go 8 times 49 and we grab our calculator probably for that because that's a big number unless somebody can do it in their head. Right? Grab my calculator. On. Clear all that. 8 times 49. You get 392. So we boiled all of this down to a single number. Right? Notice I just went vertically. Right? I turned this number into this, and then tried to go around the middle. This operation made that. Right? So it's easier to follow and find your mistakes. So now, okay, I'm going to just put the minus sign right at the bottom here, because that's separating the other side. Now we're going to take the blue, and you're going to bring it down to a single number. Right? So we look at the blue. How many operations do you see for the blue? 2. There is a division here, and there's an exponent here. Which one do we do first?
The exponent.
Exponent. So do one operation at a time. The 2 exponent 2 is 4. Then we bring down everything else that we haven't used. Right? And we're just going down vertically. Right? We go. The next operation is the division one, right? We do the division operation now. And what do you get? 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. I'm going to put 3. Technically, you could put 3 here. Just one line down, but I'm going to take it straight down to the very bottom. Right? So now 392 minus 3.
389.
389. And I'm going to put a little equals right in the middle, right? Because the subtraction combines to make the 389. That's it. Right? Okay. Let's do another one. All right. Separate this. Plus or minus not inside of brackets.
Plus.
There's a plus, right? Here. So this is going to break this up into two parts. Let's do a purple here, and let's do a red here. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Pick one, bring it down to a single number at the end before moving to the other one. Sean, purple or red?
Red.
Let's go for red. So how many operations do we see in red?
3
Okay. We have plus,
plus times and exponents.
times, exponents, and technically brackets as well. Plus and bracket, yeah. So you're good. So of all those, what are we going to do first?
Bracket.
Brackets, and that's the plus. So I'm going to take this and combine this sign together, right? So 2 plus 1 is 3, so write it underneath the plus sign, because that's the operation, and that's the answer of the operation. So I'm going to bring everything else down. 2 and a 4, right? Now we're going to do the next operation, right? Is it the times or is it this
Exponent.
exponent? That's this one here, right? 3 exponent 2 is what number?
9.
9. So that makes a 9. And we still have that 4 sitting there. Hold on. So we bring down the 4. We have the 9 sitting there. It looks like 49, but it isn't 49, Liam.
It's 36.
It's 4 times 9. Right? You got to keep the operation there, which is 36. All right? So make sure you show the operation. Right? So now we brought that down to a single number. I'm going to put a little plus here. Now we're going to work on the purple side. We're not going to go straight down to a single number. All right? Then we're going to do the adding at the end. All right. How many operations do you see? 1, 2, 3. I agree. The subtraction, which is part of the brackets, the exponent, and the multiplication. What do we do first? The brackets. Then we have all that sitting inside the brackets, but there's 2 operations inside that bracket. Which one do we do first? The exponent, right? So we turn that 3 exponent 2, we did that earlier, into a 9, and we keep everything else going. So now, here is what I do. You may or may not want to do it like this. Like, some people tell you to work on bringing everything down. I like to just focus on the little thing, and I'll bring the 2 down at the end. It's up to you. You can show that too, but I'm like, hey, we're working inside the brackets. Before we bring down the other number, let's just get this thing down to a single number. And I think if you do that, you make less mistakes. So our goal is to work inside the brackets. Then we go negative 16 minus 9. What number do we get?
Negative 29.
Negative 7.
Not 7, not negative 29. We had negative 16, and we go backwards 9. 25, negative. Right? So I'm going to, underneath here, where the minus makes, I go negative 25. This is in brackets. I go like this. I'm going to bring down the negative 2 like that. Right? So this way it shows the little mini step, and we still see everything there. If you want to show the negative 2 on the top step above, you can. I just find that when things get more complicated, if you do the arrows and stuff like that, you make less mistakes. Show of hands, who's seen arrows drop down like that before? Only a couple of people, not too many. Okay. Okay, so now we're not done. We're not done until this becomes a single number. So we have negative 2, the operation is times between the negative 25. So what does that become?
50.
50. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive 50. A little equal sign here. So we go 50 plus 36.
86.
86. That's it. So there's tons of variations for these kind of questions. But if you sort of keep these things, these tips in the background, I think you guys are not going to have too many difficulties with it. All right? All right. Now let's flip to the back side here. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, so now, I like to do this now because we do it later on. And students struggle with it so much, but it fits nicely in with bed math. Sometimes you're given a statement and a value for the letter, right? So here we have a statement, 2x minus 3, and it says the value for x is 4. So it's asking you to calculate. What you need to do is wherever you see x, 911, we stick in the value, right? And when you insert numbers in, you do so with brackets. That preserves the operation. So if you here, we go 2, and you go 4 minus 3. So that instead of x, we put in the number 4, but it looks like 24. But if you keep, whenever you put numbers in, you put it in with brackets, it preserves the math operation because it's 2 times x. So it's 2 times 4. Right? So you just got to get used to doing that. Right? So now it becomes a much easier question than we did on the first page. All right? So you go 2 operations. Which operation do we do first? 2 times 4. 2 times 4. You do the 8, and you have the minus 3 equals 5. And that's it. Right? So you start seeing letters in it. Don't get worried about it. All it means is, hey, I have a spot. I have to do one more extra step. I have to put a number in. The chances are the calculation you're doing is going to be easier. Okay? Now, sometimes there is more than one spot the letter comes. That's fine. You stick it into more than one spot. So wherever we see a R, we're going to stick in the number 6 in brackets. So we have, instead of R, we can go 6 with brackets, give it a little 2. Minus 6 with brackets, and a plus 1. Right? That's all we're going to do. So now that all the letters are gone, it becomes like a much easier question than what we were doing the first page. Right? We look at this, how many operations do you see? 3, exponent, minus, and plus. Right? Which one do we do first?
Exponent.
Exponent. Right? So we do the exponent first.
Equals 36.
Excellent. That becomes 36
Minus 6.
minus 6 plus 1. Right? We combine all those together with adding, subtracting, or tied. So we just go from left to right. We go 36 minus 6 is 30.
Plus 1 is 31.
Plus 1 is 31. Excellent. All right. Okay. To make questions a little bit more difficult, we can give you more than one kind of letter. Right? But we'll tell you what the value of each letter is. Right? We have x, its value is 2. We have a y, its value is 1. So wherever we see an x here, we're going to stick in the number 2 instead. Wherever we see a y, we're going to stick in the number 1. All with brackets. Right? So we have 4. Instead of the x, we're going to stick in the number 2. Everything else stays the same. We have a minus. Then comes the y value. Put it in brackets. Right? You don't always need brackets, but later on you'll get better at when to put brackets or not. So for now, I'll say always put brackets in, but we'll get better at it. So we replace the x with the x value, replace the y with the y value, right? And now we calculate, right? Spot the operations. Which one do we do first?
Exponent.
The exponent. Right, so you have 2, exponent 2, right? That becomes a 4. So you have 4 times 4 minus 1 minus 2, right?
So you do the multiplication.
We do the multiplication. 16 minus 1 minus 2. So you go from left to right. All right,
Which is 13.
13, 16 minus 1 is 15, and take away another 2 equals 13. That's it. Okay. So if we say evaluate, that's what we're going to do. All right? Just go through bed mass order. However, sometimes you'll get questions like this that tell you to evaluate. Now, to do this, we can do exactly what we just did. We can go through the order of operations, or I think it's usually faster to use the power rules, because we're learning about power rules. So, long as you don't see pluses and minuses in there, right? You can use power rules to simplify things. Right? Remember, our exponent is just a repeating multiplication. So, as long as there's no pluses or minuses separating the exponents, use a power rule to go through this faster. So, for example, right, instead of doing bed mass, right, let's make this faster. Okay, if I want to simplify this power down, our base is 3. What is our exponent here? Do we add? Do we multiply? Multiply. Exponent raised to exponent. We multiply, and we get the 8. And then we go times 3 cubed. And remember, I mentioned this a little bit in the passing, I think on day 2. Make the top a single power before moving on to anything else. Right? So before we do the bottom, right? We combine the top. 3 and Liam, yeah, 11, right? When we're multiplying, we add those exponents together. So now the top is down to a single power. The bottom, hey, it's already a single power, so there's no calculation we have to do. So we just put the 3/8 here, and you can put the 3/8 here. Now the top's a single power, the bottom's a single power. We can combine these two together, right?
Which is 3 and 3.
3 and 3, like that. Okay? 3 exponent 3. Right? When you subtract, now evaluate means tell me what the answer is. Right? So you grab our calculator, 3 exponent 3, what number do you get? Can you do it in your head? Not 26. Close.
I said 27.
27. Oh, sorry. 27. 27. Right? Now, you could do this using bed mass if you want. Your answer will be 27. But you're going to end up with these huge numbers. Do you want to go through the bed mass order? Right? If you did it, we could end up with the exact same answer. But the answer is going to be 27. I think this is much faster. Right? All right. Let's do this one. Right? Draw. Right? So there's no pluses or minuses, so we can go straight to calculating. All right? Simplify the top. All right? So on the top, we have both 6's. We combine the 6's together. What should the exponent for the 6 be?
6/7.
7. All right? We combine the bottoms together. We have 6, and what should the exponent be?
4.
4. Remember the little imaginary 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. Then we go combine the top and the bottom together. 3. Then we grab our calculator, because that one's not an easy one to do in our head. We go 6 to the exponent 3. 6 to the exponent 3. 216. Okay? 216. Now let's do this doing bed mass, because this one's a little bit easier to do by bed mass. So if we were doing it by bed mass order, so on the top, we go 6 exponent 5, which is going to be a ridiculous number. So we go 6 exponent 5. We'd end up with 7,776. 7,776 times 6 squared, so 36.
36.
Right? right? And we bring that down to a single number on the top. We go 7776 times 36. You get 279, 936. 279, 936. And on the bottom, we go 6 times 6 cubed, which is 216. All right? And you go 6 times 216. 6 times 216 is 1,296. Then we combine the top and the bottom by dividing. Oh, this is too much work. You go 27,936 divided by 1,296. 216. Right? So I'm not saying you have to use the power rules if it says evaluate, but this just seemed like a lot more work and a lot more chances of making mistakes. So realize when you can use the power rules to make it simpler for yourself. What time is it? 9:22. All right, so let's do this question, then I'll think about the next part. So word problem. The cube of the sum of 4 and 2 is decreased by the square of the product of 5 and 3. Write the statement and solve. So this is hard, right? So we're going to take it one step at a time and explain how to translate these things. So we have the first statement here. The cube of the sum. Right? A little typo here. Should be a little F here. Cube of the sum. Right? So we want to find the sum. What math operation is when we do sum? Add, subtract, multiply, divide? Addition. So we want to go 4 plus 2. And you want to cube it. Right? So we get 4 plus 2 is 6, and you want to cube it. So there should be a little 3 there. Right? That's what the blue statement is saying. Add it, then cube it. So you could put it in brackets. Right? Then it says it's decreased by. So if we decreasing, that's another word for math operation. What math operation is minus? Minus. So we're going to decrease what we just got by subtracting something. All right? What are we subtracting? Whatever this is, the square of the product of 5 and 3. So we're going to find the product of 5 and 3 and square it. The word product, what does that mean? Multiply. So you want to multiply 5 times 3, get our answer, which is 15, and square it. All right, so that's what that's all saying. So now we have our first statement, and we're going to subtract it from the second statement. So we just need to turn these two things into a number. 6 exponent 3, we just did it on the first page, is 216 minus 15 exponent 2, which I think is 225, if my memory.
225.
Is it? Okay, good. 225. You subtract the two numbers. Can you do that in your head?
Negative 9.
Negative 9. Excellent. All right. That's it for our notes. Let's see. We've got